Hello and welcome to ChinnyVision. This time it's the sport of kings. Ping pong. Ping pong's the sport of kings, isn't it? Ping pong was a hit arcade game for Konami, launched in 1985 and ported to the home systems, first of all onto the MSX on cartridge, which I'm not going to be showing, but I would love to own. I've been trying to buy a copy for ages. But the version I played first of all was the Amstrad CPC version. The game was ported to the C64, the CPC and the Amstrad by Imagine, owned by Ocean by that time. You can see the little penguin mascot, familiar to Konami games, and of course the games that penguin, whose name I temporarily forget, starred in. Lovely animation taken from the arcade game here on the Amstrad version title screen. Lovely humour. I remember seeing this on my friend's computer, his 464, back in the mid-80s, and thinking how good this game looked. So we start off. I've not played this game for a few years, so hopefully I'm going to remember how to play it. You're the little floating hand closest to the screen there. And you've got to hit the ball back by play. I think it's a left for backhand, right for forehand, and you can smash it by pressing up. On the Amstrad version, you don't need to press fire when the ball comes towards you. And we're on level 1, which is quite slow and is the lowest level of AI. The standard rules of ping pong apply, or table tennis, if you want to call it that. And it's a question of timing, really. It's a little bit slow here on level 1. You launch the ball there, and it's just... Oh, no, I've hit the net there. Depending on how soon or late you hit the ball after the bounce, or you go for the left or right on the... Oh dear, it's gone wrong. Going horribly wrong. Depending on how quickly you go for the ball after the ball hits a table like there, that determines how high or low you hit the ball, and you can use forehand and backhand to hit the ball in slightly different directions, and not a lot of variation. That's, again, if you combine that with the height the ball comes in, then if you combine that with the time you hit the ball, then you can get a bit more movement on it. So it looks like a very simple game, but actually when you get into it, there's a little bit of science to how you play it. It's very easy just to end up hitting the ball back and forth almost instinctively, when actually you need to be thinking a little bit more just how to outwit your opponent. I've just forwarded this on to level 3 because level 1's a little bit slow, so we're against a blue bat there on the other side. It's a little bit fast. I prefer it on these kind of levels on the Amstrad version. I'm doing quite well here. Well, I was doing quite well. Almost level with the CPU. I find these... Oh, he smashed it. It's a really nice game. It's really... You find yourself shouting, they're going to smash it. No, I didn't. You find it... There are a few games on the Amstrad that I find myself shouting at so much as this. It's one more point and the CPU's got it. It's a really good game. Only basic sound effects and the tunes from the arcade at the beginning and end of the game. Oh! Yes! If my hand's bouncing up and down, which means I've got the point, so I've still got a chance to catch him. 8 points to 10, right. He's going to smash it back. Oh! Come on. Getting good rally to smash it back again. Oh, no! No! Oh. CPU wins, and the little man on the left-hand side there in the audience is who's an alien, I think, because you see his eyes in the audience there. And you can see now, I'm just going to level 5 to show you the maximum speed. You can see he's got funny eyes there, and he reacts to how badly or well you play. And all the audience is actually animated. It's a really nice presentation. Oh, I've got a point on level 5. Wow. I used to be really good at this back on my Amstrad 6128. I had this on one of the Konami arcade hit compilations, and I was actually quite good at it. I haven't played it for a few years, and I'm really enjoying it. So going over to the Commodore 64, we've got the same animation as the Amstrad version. Right, I'm going to start on level 2, I think. I'm going to start on level 2 here. Because it's like the Amstrad version, I just need a little bit more speed. More muted colours on the Commodore 64 here. Also, it's quite fast on level 2. Oh! No, yeah, it's much more difficult here on level 2 than it is on, say, level 3 on the Amstrad. You also here have to press fire as well as direction when the ball comes towards you, which is a little bit confusing when you first start off, to get the hang of it. Oh, this is really much more difficult. The audience don't react either. There's no clapping. You get sound effects, but there's no movement from the audience. You good rally going here. When you start to think about this ping pong table, it looks like the odd, this forced or rather fake 3D perspective. Oh no, no, I've got a point there. No, I haven't. Oh. As I was saying, the forced 3D perspective on here, it's fake. It's, of course, the screen's entirely 2D, and the computers make it look like 3D. If you start analysing it too much, you think, oh, these weird floating hands, and it's like the odd-shaped table, but you've got to ignore that, because the game's actually rather good. It appears so simplistic, and actually when you get into the tactics of playing it, you can really whittle away quite an amount of time while playing it. And I've lost the game like I did in the Amstrad version, but much worse. 11 points to 2. And I mentioned on the C64 that you have to press fire when you select the direction to hit the ball back. On the arcade version, the original arcade version, like the CPC version, you only have to press the direction, so it's a bit of a deviation here on the C64 from the fluidity of the arcade original. Just going to try level 1, just to see what the basic speed here is on the Commodore 64. And that's more like it, certainly for me, as I'm still trying to master this whole... Oh, no, that went horribly wrong. Well, I was going to say, it's a bit easier for me as I try to master the pressing fire and direction at the same time. Overall on the Commodore 64, fairly good game. Moving across the Spectrum, there's only a 48K version of this game, so it's going to be beeper noises. No animation, or they've got the ping pong logo. It's like a tuneless beeper tune here on the menu screen. Select interface 2. Oh, it's a nice transition effect there. And I'm going to start off on level 3. Different tune to the Commodore 64 and Amstrad versions. Right, serving. Oh! No, that was out. Right. Serving. Oh no, I got a point in there, good. Right, okay, serving again, and get a rally going on. Oh, so this bit... I find it's a little bit more difficult to control than the Spectrum and Amstrad versions. Again, I suspect, and when I first played the Commodore 64 version, I had problems. It's it's a question of getting used to it. But I'm very finely tuned to the Amstrad version, even though I haven't played it for a long time, because I had all that time in the 80s and 90s playing it. I've had a quick go on the Commodore 64 version before I've recorded this, and I struggled at first and then got the hang of it. This is the first time I played the Spectrum version, and I'm finding it a little bit tough. The audience is animated on this version. The ball appears to travel further left and right than on the Spectrum and Amstrad versions, so it's... Across all three of these versions as well, there's one difference from the arcade in that the game doesn't let you have what's called a let. And I'm not quite sure, perhaps ping pong table tennis players will know more than I will, but sometimes you think you've scored a point but you haven't because some game condition hasn't been met. And in the arcade version you get that, but on the home versions you don't. Oh, you see, that went off there. It's timing. There's differences between all these different versions, and I suspect it's just a question of getting used to where you've got to hit the ball, forehand or backhand, and at what point of the bounce. Well, I'm getting absolutely thrashed here. I might have been a bit cocky going for level 3 as opposed to level 1. Slightly closer up perspective of the table tennis or ping pong table as well here. So it's less... The Amstrad and Commodore 64 versions do a good job of replicating the arcade graphics. On the Spectrum here, it's a little bit of a fudge, I'm afraid. They haven't managed to replicate those graphics so well. So does ping pong stand up against the arcade original? Well, the original version I played was the Amstrad version, and even today I still love it. There are few computer games on any format that I shout at and get more involved in when I'm playing them. I take it very personally when I get an out or when the computer gets one up on me. It's absolutely brilliant and it looks the part as well. Really good port. The Commodore 64 version took me a little bit of getting used to with having to press fire and direction at the same time. It's certainly very polished. I don't want to appear Amstrad biased. Personally speaking, I'll go for the Amstrad version. Spectrum version, no, it's not as good as the other two. I'm afraid they've not really managed to replicate the arcade machine. It's a good attempt, and I know people rate the Spectrum version really highly, but of the 3 versions, it's definitely the bottom of the pile. If you're going to play ping pong and you can't get an MSX cartridge, as I can't, play it on the CPC or Commodore 64. Either version, you really can't lose.